Stop listening! Instead, stream the uncut version of this discussion by either or both, tipping us on Ko-fi or joining a membership on either Ko-fi or Patreon via the links in the description.
And Michael B. Jordan totally 1000% deserved that Oscar.
Cool.
Yeah. I do recommend it, Dave. I think you would like it. I really think you would enjoy it. It's really good.
What's his name? Brian couldn't recommend it enough. And he hasn't been making as much content or any content lately, but he has pushed that out.
2 kids and a full-time job, man. He's got his hands full. I think there's 5 more episodes. I'm so upset. That I have to wait every week to watch.
I thought there was less.
No, it's 15 episodes. Okay. I'm upset that I have to wait every week to watch this show. Like it literally makes me upset when I can't go and watch the next episode.
I think they're being very clinical. They're teaching you, they're retraining your brain to not get everything now.
But it's so good.
I know. Will this be the shortest episode ever? Famous last words.
Dave just jinxed it, so now it's going to be like 4 hours long.
Yep, 4 hours. But if it is, then this episode is more amazing than we thought it would be. So... We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh. Most times we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by...
Lazy Gardner.
We are here to discuss Dark Wind's 6th episode of its 4th season, titled... Okay, I did learn for this. Shíká, Nidanitáhá, which means... Those who were searching for me.
I meant to go back and look at all of the previous titles because I was trying to think about what this title meant. What if all of these titles are Billy saying something? Those who search for me, like the people who are searching for me, Billy is the one that kind of kicked this all off.
Why don't we do that at the end? Because it feels like it's unfair if we do it now because we have all of them in advance. I wouldn't be able to help myself from hitting that once I look over the titles because that's where we're watching them from. We'll see if there's any greater significance when we add all the titles together to see if there's some big picture thing, if there is a big picture thing to be had. Let's keep a pulse on that. Billy is a good connective tissue to what's going on with everybody, it seems like, if that's really the case. But speaking of, how does this title relate to what we saw this episode? This is pretty on the nose, though, I gotta say, because you could say this is from Irene's point of view.
I was getting ready to say that could also be Irene's point of view.
And this is just all crazy talk.
Also, Chi and his mom.
Oh, yeah. And from the mom's point of view.
Yeah.
Searching for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or Chi searching for closure or release.
And me is closure. Or Leroy. Joe is looking for Leroy with Sonny.
Last week I theorized that perhaps Chi was the one who put his mom out of her misery.
Right. Hey, it was a great theory.
That was not disproved in this episode.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I felt like when he pulled off the shroud or the quilt, we were reliving that scene. I feel like she suffocated. I felt like she choked on her own blood, and it really is sad. In a way, I'm kind of glad they kind of only give us this weird hallucinatory version of it, rather than like, well, what led up to it? Here we are. The agony of having to be there and then watching her slow motion die. I don't know when he was or wasn't there, and if he just happened to have made it there when she died, or maybe this is him wishing he was there, but kind of not, because he would have had to see her die, and they told him cause of death was suffocation on her own.
Or he's just imagining all of it.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I know he's imagining it, but what I'm saying is we're seeing not what really happened, but what maybe he wished had happened.
And the more you think about it, are you with me? Does it even matter what actually happened? Great to theorize, but then you're like, oh, every one of these things is a terrible, terrible outcome. None of these are comforting. These things that we're thinking were actually happened. But, well, listen, we have a peephole into it. You know, in a way, it's a lot better than doing a flashback, is being able to see it through his feverish fever dream. And hey, we find out more or less this episode that, yeah, it was fever-induced hallucinations. Probably. I probably lean more towards sort of a poisoning too. Like I was saying in the episode we had with Jason, the 3rd episode, unless we go with the whole ghost sickness thing, which also was said out loud this episode by, I keep wanting to say Deanna Allison,
Emma.
Emily Porn. I'm so glad she's here.
By the way, I was about to throw some hands at the end of this episode. If she hurt
Say
Emma,
more.
that is just the end of it right there.
Well, see, okay, let's stay here because I was really surprised that she was alive. I was already standing up, sort of, like when you're like about to get up and hurt somebody. I was already getting up, like getting ready because you had just seen the scene with her and Irene, and you're like, they better not, and they didn't, and now you're like, wait.
But then when Joe is running towards her and they're like playing that music, and I was like, oh, I mean, I really thought she was dead. I was about to lose it. Yeah. But I think the reason she didn't is because as crazy as she is, she knows that if she killed Emma, Joe's not going to go to her because she killed Emma.
He would not be happy about that.
Right. Well, because her whole thing is she wants Joe, or she thinks she wants Joe, or she's just crazy or whatever. But she knows that if she kills Emma, who Joe wants, then there's no chance.
It'll completely throw him off of her, disgust-wise.
Which she apparently thinks he's into her now in some way. She used his toothbrush, which totally nasted me out. That was so gross. Okay. So gross.
She has the attraction of a 15-year-old boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to feel close to her. I'm going to brush with her toothbrush. I'm going to sniff his dirty underwear. Right? That kind of like... This episode does a really good book ending. First of all, the filming in this particular scene, I took time taking notes on because there's a lot of like call and response. Joe is...
I really enjoyed the way they wove that together. We just last week mentioned the piece of paper not coming into play. And then first thing when we started this one, there's the piece of paper coming into play.
Right, the piece of paper he wedges through the door to see if it's tampered. Right. Exactly. Wonderful. Right, because you can't bait that hook for too long. It's like, oh, then why are you doing this? So he goes for the file. It's her hands, and she picks it up, and then she puts it down. Then he picks it up. He's looking through his bag, and it flips over to her looking through his bag on the bed. Flips back to him. Nothing is missing. Byrne asks if Joe's good. He makes for the sink, but then it flips over to her looking at the mirror with his shirt on. Also, you could see because the collar's all big and it's like she just put it on hurriedly.
So is like this weird obsession, like she wants to be Joe.
So yeah, and that's an actual thing too. And I wish I looked it up too. When you want somebody else's life, that this could have been my life. I could have been pursuing more just pursuits, let's say.
I mean, that's like why she did all the rituals and such. I mean, maybe.
There's a lot of really interesting small choices that happen throughout the episode. This is one of them. So as Joe makes to the mirror, you can see her in the background. The point of view that you have now is from the mirror's point of view, looking at Joe for a hot sec. And she's in the background with her typical impatient Byrne hands on her hips. It's important in a second. I'll show you why. She picks up Joe's hairbrush. Just when Joe picks up his toothbrush, he looks at it. He's like, what the hell? And then Byrne's hands move from her hips, like, because she's like, what are you doing, Joe? What's wrong? And so when he goes, the face, he's like, it's wet. Like, he's like, look at this, it's wet. Then she goes, oh, and she hands her hands on her sides. After that, she's like, oh, there is something to this. I'm going to let you finish, Joe. Like, oh, this is crazy. And then he throws it out, whatever. Lastly, he notices the lamp has been moved.
There's a little edge of where she didn't put it back exactly right. And there was that little edge of dust.
Yeah, it's dust, or like maybe the sun faded it or something. I don't know. But yeah, the shiny wood underneath it and the bugs the room. Okay, fine. So one note is that I have the same shower curtain in my bathroom that he has in his motel room. Exactly. And I will take a picture and put it over. And I have to. It's
70s
insane.
style.
Interesting little Easter egg. So Billy's file, you have a little opportunity to get a little bit off of her file. It lists Sister Regina as her parent guardian.
Oh.
Yeah, from St. Catherine's boarding school. You also find out that she's 16, born May 26, 1956. That was heartbreaking.
I wonder if that was changed after Big A died, because it's only been a few days.
I feel like it must have been.
Or if that was already her contact because she was living it.
May well be. I thought they must have, small town kind of situation.
Technically, I mean, if you think about it, she's living at the school, so anything that would be going on, why would they contact the grandpa? Because he's not anywhere near there.
Yeah, it's possible. Sure. There's one thing I wanted to bring up just because I don't think it's going to come up in an organic conversation. But throughout this season, you know how when you're watching a story, there's a linearness to it. You can track the phases of the day. Oh, sunrise, It's noon, sunset, night. I noticed it more this episode, but I noticed in prior episodes I didn't know how to bring it up if it was worth bringing up. But okay, you're at the hotel or you're at Leroy's apartment and doing the surveillance thing, or then you have Chi at night recovering and the hallucination thing. And then you're back in the streets where they just shot Sonny Bearheart and they're doing the crime scene thing. You're like, wait, when are we? Are we the day after? Are we the day before? There's no way they set up a crime scene the next day after the shooting because they're switching back and forth between night and day where Chi's in the hospital. It's a whole thing. I was wondering if you noticed that as well.
Not really, to be honest. That didn't really register with me.
They did the same thing with Irene. I think it was last episode. So the episode starts off with Irene killing Upchurch. No, it was the one before that then, I guess. Then it goes through the episode, which is they're in LA, Indian Center, whatever. And then it goes back to night where she comes back in the van with the booby-trapped gate and she goes down to the trap and she sees Oppa. And, do you know what I mean? It's still night. Mm-hmm. It did that again this episode. Here I am wondering what that's all about, actually.
My guess would be it's to make you feel unsettled while you're watching it because your brain wants to be linear. And again, it's very subtle. I didn't pick up on it.
Right.
But it's just there to make you feel off, like what is going on.
I sort of now figured out a way of explaining it. Joe is during the day, Indian Center. Mm. It's kind of like that tale, and I can't remember if it was a native tale, okay, do you remember Sherry and Dwight on The Walking Dead / Fear the Walking Dead? And in order to find each other, or at least I think they explain this more in Fear the Walking Dead, in order to find each other, they draw the infinity symbol to know that you're on the right track just to find me, right? So it's kind of like that. It's like the tale of and I forget exactly what the animals are or whatever, but it's the wolf that's chasing the day or the night chasing day. So it's kind of like that. So you have Irene in that episode where she kills Upchurch. All of her scenes are at night and all of Joe's scenes are during the day. And then you have Chi here, right? Chi, his scenes are mostly at night and he's going through like the dark night of the soul moment where he's going through it. And then you have the other scenes that are happening during the day. So maybe there's a more of a poetic reason for these being out of sequence in their own time.
Again, just a subtle way to keep you unbalanced.
I
Get
agree.
It balanced?
Oh, Irene, you're making me crazy. Just to answer your question about how she thought he was onto her, I wrote in my notes. They go through the whole thing and she goes, I just tried to keep the balance, Joe. And he goes, balance? In his own sexy Zon McLaren voice. You know, you murdered innocent people. And she goes, you were the one who caused the chaos. I told you to leave it alone, but you didn't listen. And so now another man had to die because of you. You made me do it. Wait, then he goes, I'm going to find you. You hear
oh my
me?
God. That was like the most ridiculous.
Why did you say that?
Like, has he been watching Taken? That wasn't a thing in the 70s.
That's not what I'm laughing at. It's like I'm going to find you, like, and she's like, I hope so.
Right.
I'm like, why did you say that, Joe?
At this part, I was thinking, like, he does not know how to deal with psychos. Like, he obviously has not watched a lot of SVU and
He
stuff.
didn't watch Bond.
Right. He does not get psychos. He's a small town cop. He's very limited in what he covers in the reservation. So for him to come up with someone who is so clearly psychotic, it's throwing him off. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to handle her at all. You killed, and it's like, she doesn't care, bro. Like, find something that you can get her. Like, I know you used my toothbrush, you psycho. Like, get at her with something that's gonna matter, not you killed people, I'm coming after you. Like, no, that's just empty talk. I just thought that was ridiculous. That line really bugged me when he said it, and it was just like,
that line, yeah, for sure. Going back to what you said about like you've murdered innocent people, I think he's also trying to figure out what kind of psycho she is. Is she the psycho that will know, oh, I'm disappointed in you and that matters? Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, Joe, is maybe what he's thinking she'll say after that.
He's a detective, and he knows that she knows he's there, and he knows that she knows who Emma is because she has her picture.
Right.
How could he not consider before this that she would go after Emma? I guess it could happen in real life or whatever, but I feel like that is something that should have crossed his mind way before this point. He should have had her under some kind of surveillance or protection, or at least said, hey, this crazy lady might be coming after you. And I'm not blaming him in the sense that she's blaming, you made me do it. And I'm not blaming him like that. I'm just saying, yes, he has a lot on his mind, but I'm just thinking that protecting Emma would have been forefront, especially after he found out that she knew they were there.
I hear you. I think you know what I'm about to say anyway, that little slight possibility that maybe his mind is thinking, she's not a target because she's obviously read the letters. She obviously wants nothing to do with me, which is kind of what she makes it seem to Emma when she confronts her. You abandoned him. So he would be thinking, oh, obviously not a target. Obviously. Why would she go after her? She's left me. There's no reason for her to go after her.
Again, this is what I'm saying, but he doesn't understand psychos because her thought is you abandoned him, but he still pines for you, and that is why he won't come to me.
Here's another one. This is actually a perfectly valid excuse. Do you remember what we said in maybe even the second episode? No, it was the third episode. He's talking to her for the first time, and he says, you're under a lot of pressure because you've been after Leroy for a week and you haven't been able to find him. Why would he think that he'd spend that much time on him when he knows that she has a job to do, or else she is in trouble?
He understands that she is obsessed with him. That was how he knew that using him would get her for sure to come to the apartment, because she was like, I'm not doing that's beneath my pay grade.
You know what it is? I think it wasn't until that morning when he found the toothbrush that he knew the degree to which she was obsessed with him. Right.
And then when she bugged the phone and everything, that is when it should have kind of entered his mind. Maybe I should at least mention something to Emma to keep her guard up.
Like Sylvia Washington all over again.
There's this crazy lady who's after me, and tell her the crazy things this lady has done, because it's not his fault. Emma would be like, oh, you're dragging me into your stuff again. But he did not do anything to encourage this. I get maybe he wouldn't want to say something to her to freak her out, but at the same time, yo, she is in danger, my friend, and you are not warning her.
You know that there's a whole other side of this conversation, which is
I do
the same one she is having with Emma, actually, which is interesting. Never the twain shall meet. My spirituality, I'm saying spirituality for the sake of brevity, but spirituality versus the job, right? The badge. And with him, it's like, do you remember what you said in the last episode? And he kind of brings it up to Emma. I'm sorry, I'm here. And it's not because of us specifically being upfront about it. I would have called sooner, etc., but I didn't, obviously. But I'm here for this girl, and I didn't want to not say that I'm in town, blah, blah, blah. It's that same compartmentalizing. Never shall the Catholic school Joe with the badge meet with the spiritual / Emma, the things I love. These things have to be separate, because I guess the story of the monster isn't really over. You realize that monsters are men, the thing we talked about in the last season. However, you want to partition out the job, the badge, with the spiritual. And she's going through it too. Emma says to stay, take care of your spiritual stuff. And he's like, no, we got to get Billy first. Joe, we got to get Billy first. And then he doesn't even enter his mind that Emma could be in danger because, again, partition.
Like I said, I'm not really blaming Joe. That is something that he should have thought of.
Yeah.
Because, again, he knows that she read the letters and has a picture of Emma.
Oh, that's right. And she has the address, too, from the front of the letters.
And yet, maybe it's because he's afraid to say anything to her after BJ Vines. But the whole thing with BJ Vines was, you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And here he is not telling her again.
Yep, secrets. This one wouldn't be necessarily a secret. Who were we talking about with accomplices? Yeah, she. It's kind of like if I tell you, now you're involved in a weird sort of psychological way. Well, now that you know, you'll be looking around every single corner. And for what? Maybe nothing's going to happen.
I'm going to give Joe the benefit of the doubt of he has not watched years and years and years of
crime,
serial killer stuff and crime stuff. Maybe he just doesn't see the signs, whatever. But I just think that was a big mistake, just to not even warn Emma. And it's not like he hasn't seen her. Maybe instead of trying to grab her hand, he should have been like, yo, this crazy lady is after me. Like, you should watch out. She's read your letters.
Listen, he's got stars in his eyes. Go on your sentiment also. When you see her gripping Joe and barely being able to speak through the tears, she can barely breathe. She's crying so much.
I don't blame her, dude.
No, not at all. I felt like it was derogatory, though.
Pooping myself, too.
But I had a simultaneous thought, and I don't know if you did, too. There's that first thought that, oh, maybe this is a thing that gets them to grip each other again. But then I had the other thought, which is like, okay, after this passes, I know things are going to go back to the way they were. Did you have that thought?
I didn't really think of it like that, but she would have reacted to anybody showing up to her right then. If Bernadette had been the one that showed up, she would have been gripping Bernadette and crying. If it had been Chi, yeah, Joe was her husband and whatnot, but I feel like that was just a reaction. This is not us getting back together. This is just, I'm terrified and you were the first person who showed up.
Yeah. Obviously, in your head, you're kind of like, could this be it?
Because this is a story that we're watching, and it maybe will have a happy ending. You know,
I'm hoping, yeah.
Of course, you think that, but the more I think about it, it's like, yeah. I mean,
I feel very cynical.
Maybe, but I'm gonna put it this way: if Emma was really standing up for her principles and this was all it took to like break her back down, that's not very principled. She moved away from him, even though he's like, I'm there chasing a girl, which is perfectly honorable. It's not like he's there for garbage or whatever, but just the fact that some lady approached her and said some crazy stuff and now she's going to suddenly be back with Joe over that. I just don't feel like that's viable. Unless it's something like she's like, oh, I realize I'm wasting my life, but not being with you. But even then, I feel like that's like, nah.
Well, it could be a continuation of the phrase, Joe asking her, are you happy? And she explained that she was fulfilled, but she didn't really answer the question rightfully, since I don't feel like he's responded to her mailings and she sent quite a few letters. Maybe she doesn't want to tell him that she's not happy. Maybe she doesn't want to give him the satisfaction. And that's fair. You've spent all this time not telling me how you feel. I'm not going to tell you how I feel. And maybe that's where the dam breaks just a little bit, where they can communicate.
I don't think
Like
she was all
she
that
and
happy
Bernadette.
before she left.
Still, as of right now, I think she could live the rest of her life the way she is right now. Would she want to is the question. I think all of us, if we had to, we could. If Dennis disappeared, God forbid, Evelyn disappeared, God forbid, we'd have to.
Mhm.
Would we want to? No.
But this is a TV show. It's going to be romanticized, whatever.
Sure.
But in real life, would you give up all the progress that you've made to go back to what was you were unhappy about in the first place? To go back where you don't have a job and you're not being fulfilled? Because Joe's not going to, well, I mean, he's retiring, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't want to go back to the res or whatever. So are you going to go back to that?
It's going to sound naive, but in consideration of the fact that this is a show, I don't think one can go back to the way things used to be. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go back to the person, but I think reality has a funny way of telling you you can't go back to falling into the old habits.
I mean, there's an old saying, you can't go back again.
Can't go back to your childhood home after you've moved.
Even if Joe retires and he moves to LA with Emma, she's not the same person.
Yeah.
And he is going to be expecting that same person. He's not going to be the same person that he was. I'm not saying there's too much distance. Like, people get back together all the time. It's not going to ever go back to being the same.
Good counterpoint. I don't know. Maybe it's a compliment to what you're saying, is that maybe for the longest time, they didn't know what that was after Joe Jr. died years back, it seems at this point. Now that they are reinventing themselves, like Byrne is saying to Emma, Joe is changing. Joe is embracing the sweat, the hunt. You're embracing maybe going on the path of you maybe becoming a doctor, which you kind of see a version of that when she deals with She says, hey, you need to stay here for 24 hours and deal with your spiritual problem, your ghost sickness. So you're getting to see that version of her that she's never really got to embrace. But maybe that's what that looks like. Maybe, and I've said this on the show before even too, maybe sometimes you have to break in order to mend. We've said this when it came to Daryl and Carol. It's much to Rachel's chagrin. Sometimes you have to re-break a broken bone to make it mend properly.
What is the Japanese custom where they
Kintsugi.
fill cracks?
Filling
I mean,
the
that's
cracks
not
with
to
gold.
say that you couldn't try to shatter it and put it back together and pipe the gold in between to remind you of the flaws instead of expecting everything to be perfect.
And then in turn, your relationship is even more valuable. Literally the gold, but literally it's prettier.
The first thing is, it's really hard to get over what you consider a betrayal.
You have to acknowledge the cracks.
In the first place. So Emma still feels betrayed. That's fairly obvious by the way she's been acting.
Because he has to change more than just his spirituality.
Right. And again, he's doing it for her to get her back, not because he wants to do it for himself. That's been a running theme throughout this season.
This isn't a defense of Joe, by the way. I'm about to say something. I don't know why I said that first. I think when you are so involved with your passion, let's speak directly about me. Okay, when it comes to this podcast, it becomes all encompassing. And sometimes you really don't know who you are without it. Obviously, when Emma left, this is all he had. And then he folded in the sweat and the hunting and the gardening. But like you said, is it for him or is it for her? Is this your life? Is this how you're defining yourself? Are you defining yourself in order to get her back? And then you could just go back to just doing the law and just coming home? See, because Emma's obviously doing for herself, obviously fulfilling herself and fulfilling the lives of others, much like he does, I'm sure.
Well, it's like she says earlier when she's talking about women were expected to be nurses, not doctors. She still can't get to be the doctor, but she can do as much as she can as a nurse, which in LA, I'm sure is way more than she did on the res.
Tons more volume.
She's getting gratification in her life, whereas I don't think Joe is anymore.
Hence the
wants to be doing this job anymore.
retirement.
He's over it. Yeah.
And that's another thing. It was worthwhile as long as he knew there was a home to come home to, compartmentalizing. I could put this aside and come home to my wife and find out, oh, how was your day? How's everything going on with you? Oh, let's talk about that. That was his life, is living through her. His life was compartmentalized and living through the badge. It goes back to what Irene was saying before, balance. Irene has become the elder of the show. Absolute nuts.
I think she's fairly shisty in not telling the assisted living place that her grandfather is a homicidal crazy man before they move him in, is he tries to attack her all the time. Some poor nurse walking into his room to help him his assisted living, and he tries to choke her out. She didn't mention anything about that. She just said he likes cats.
I'm
cats
so
are
glad
cool.
we're randomly here, by the way, because there's so much about that scene. First of all, let's get this guy out of the way. This Jeremy Kaplan salesman guy. He put the hard sell on this lady, knowing full well she probably couldn't afford it. She's telling him a little out of our price range. Well, how about a swimming pool? Hey, Opa. Hey, Gunther. Do you like water?
And non-refundable, just in case you decide you change your mind. So we can
as if that was a good thing.
$1,200 out of you at the very least.
$550 a month. I actually looked at what that amount was, adjusting for inflation today. Do you want to take a wild guess of what that is?
$3,500.
More.
$7,500.
No, that's too much. It's $4,279.63.
That's still really high.
That's
month,
way
$4,000 a month. Better Call Saul did a whole thing about this. Don't you remember that was the whole class action suit? Was all of the extras and incidentals they were
packing into the fee,
packing into the thing, right? $10 for a box of Kleenex and $15 for an aspirin and stuff like that. So where's Saul when we need him?
Points taken. What was it called? The Sandpiper? The assisted living? I'm trying to remember the exact name. That's why it comes up in my head. So that's out of the way. But there's something so cool filmic wise. You have to consider what they were talking about in German. First of all, let me get this out of the way. Jeremy Kaplan, Jew. Just going to put that out there. Not knowing exactly that he was in front of former Nazis. Anyway, and he was probably born maybe not even just after the Holocaust. He's about 30 something.
I had the feeling, we only saw him a couple times, but he doesn't know that they're in America. She's keeping him in this bunker. When they showed up in this assisted living thing and he was kind of chill, I was like, okay, he apparently knows they're in America.
Yeah, that's the danger, is that when he's in these fugue states, he needs to feel like he's a spy.
You need to hope that this dude does not know German. And you're sitting there, they are born killers like you and me.
It'd be interesting to see if that comes up again, by the way, too.
Nobody thought Daenerys spoke High Valyrian until she fried the maester, so.
See? Yeah. Tough. Noogies, boogies. So, okay, let me paint the scene. He goes, Katzen. And he's like, cats are superior beings, not like this guy, the salesman. And she goes, I didn't know you like cats. So he goes, cats are born killers like you and I. Before that statement, he tells her about the rent. I don't know if you notice this. She goes for the stapler and she takes it off his desk. Then they have the conversation about the cats, like the brief few lines about cats. And he's looking at her and she goes, they're born killers like you and I. He's like staring her down. And then feeling ashamed, she slowly slides the stapler back onto the desk. What a nice little touch. Opa may be frazzled in the head randomly, but he's acutely perceptive enough to know that she grabbed the stapler because she could go after this Jeremy guy in an instant if he rubs her the wrong way.
She was afraid that Grandpa was going to go into a fugue state and grab the stapler and beat him with it.
Just as valid. Because he was like standing up.
Again, if you're trying to get this man into this home, you don't want to have him go nuts and attack the dang guy while you're sitting there, because then they're not going to let him in.
She's going to staple him to the chair.
That's obviously why she needs more money. She probably wants a life. She wants to bring Joe down into the bunker with her and not have Grandpa busting in.
What does she say to Gunther just after she's attacked? Or actually, sorry, to her Führer. That's what she says in German. Colonel Führer, same thing. Oh, can I bring a lieutenant to dinner? She has these plans. And like you said, I do wonder if, first of all, I don't want it to happen, but how will that happen? And if it does happen, how will he react to that? And will it be, if he does arrive in the bunker, like two worlds colliding, the world that she wants and the world that she has, and what will win? And how will that shake out? As much as I don't want them to be together, right? That quote unquote, There is a part of me that wants that world to collide, to be like, what were you expecting? And what does Joe take away from all this? And will she die as a result? What will happen with Oppa? He's blameless. Obviously, something feels iffy there. I have a bias. What can I say? I don't know. I have no idea.
Innocent his mind is gone now, but that doesn't excuse the things he probably did before.
Hence the Nuremberg trials. Yeah. So I wonder how that's going to play out, because this is playing for modern audiences today in 2026. And you have to be able to link a nearly 100-year-old conflict and make people emotionally resonate with that conflict for them to understand the gravity of what he's saying to his granddaughter. Okay, yes, what he is and what he represents is a very scary thing. And we should have that in our minds when we approach the subject, because it makes him not a very sympathetic character, even though he is a human being. His faculties are going. She has a feeling towards him that makes us sympathetic towards that feeling of, what if it was my grandpa? What would I do as their grandson? Despite whatever they did, what would I do to keep them afloat? What would I do to keep them safe? Because to me, it doesn't matter what they did.
It helps that she's of the same ideological bent as him.
Maybe. I don't. Do you get that feeling, that sense?
Yeah.
Is it because she saw the swastikas in the blanket? It's just like, oh, Joe is just like me. I think
it's like maybe this cultural obsession she has is in some way trying to make up for that in her grandfather, or in her. If I could show that I did their ceremonies and stuff, then that proves I didn't do this because of their race. I did it for money, not because they're not white.
I hadn't thought of that. I have to process that. See, here's what I thought. I thought if I do this, not that he won't be mad at me, Joe, but more like I'm not like them. It's like you're saying, I'm not racist. This has nothing to do with supremacy.
Right.
The hand keeps going up.
I might be German, but this isn't why I did it. I did it because I got paid for it.
Which is a call and response, too, because Joe says this to Sonny. I mean, they hired a German woman, for God's sake. Why would you think that you're not expendable? They have a German on the payroll.
They don't trust you as a brown-skinned person to do the job right, so they had to get a white woman to do it.
Or they won't take any chances on a brown person, period.
Which, R.I.P. Sonny. I liked Sonny.
Super flawed.
Yeah, I liked him as a character, though.
Chasky Spencer is the actor.
Again, he laid it out for Joe. Joe probably hadn't really considered you getting these guys into the criminal ring. The only way he can help other people like him is to help them survive. And this is the only way he knows how to survive.
It's a little bit of both things, too, because on the one hand, it's still awful, right? You're keeping our people down, but also what other choice do they have? The math works out like this. Well, I'm going to F them before the system Fs them. We often bring this up sometimes, but that whole Walking Dead World Beyond conversation with Kublek and her daughter, Jennifer Malik, Huck, I'm going to hurt you so that the rest of the world can't hurt you first. Sonny does that to his people. He picks up all these people who really can't get work, and he says, hey, I'm going to F you. Better if I F you than the system, because at least I'm you. I'm of you.
When he gave Chi money to get a room and clean up and get food, like, he really meant that.
But he made it very clear, you're mine now.
He wasn't doing it just to get him in, though. I feel like he really cares for these people because, like he said, we got a pamphlet from the government and we get out here, so we come all the way out here. There's no jobs, nothing we can do. They could starve or they're homeless, whatever. At least I give them something. He cares, but this is all he can do. He has no other resources or outlets to help these people. Look at the lady at the front desk of the Indian Affairs. She doesn't care. They're not getting any help there either. So he's like, this is the only help I can give. I'm not saying he's being a good guy about it. He wanted Chi to do good, but he has no other recourse to help him other than this.
There's an element of, obviously, the stories we tell ourselves, hey, I'm helping these people. You know, there's like the thing you have to say to justify what you will and won't do with these people. But then there's also the whole, I'm doing what the bad thing is doing. I'm just getting to them first.
Well, he's also looking at his own life. He's got it pretty good. He's got a nice house and a nice car and nice clothes and money to throw around. So why can't he help these other young native guys get that too?
Yeah.
He gets them in the door, and what they do with it after that is up to them. But he was mentoring Chi. I see me in you, and I'm going to help you get to where I am.
That's a good point too. I'm giving him something that wasn't given to me that I had to scrape for. I'm making it easier for you, better than what was done for me.
when he found out that Chi wasn't who he said he was, that was probably even doubly hurtful. Not just because I brought a cop into it, but you hurt me personally when I helped you and you
Right.
lied to me.
There's an additional stank to this. The discovery of Albert Gorman's death, which I wish there was more to that story. Remember how we were spinning a big yarn about how they may have been a couple? There's obviously, I had this girl friend, you know, that whole conversation.
Mhm.
And then there's Albert. I feel like Howard Gordon stepped on his line because he was about to say, I wish you were alive so that he could kill you all over again. But then he bursts in, he says, Albert Gorman is dead. I wish there was more to that story, though, because it feels like the way he said it was, he's my partner. He's my equal. He's not some guy that's under me. Why would he care about what Albert would think? You invoking his name. So I wonder, like, is it partner? Is it business partner? Or is it like, wait till my husband finds out about this. He'd be so mad. You know what I mean?
I don't think it matters now. They're both dead.
Sucks. And you know what, like, insult to injury is like, now you'll never know, is not only is the one in the neck that he gets, but Shaw is radioing Joe and is like, get your man out. He tries pulling him like center
Show him
mass.
again. I don't think it mattered. I think he was dead by then.
No, I
anyway.
know, but it's like insult to injury. It's like,
Yeah.
no. I always get my man, Irene.
Sonny could have been what Joe is to Chi. If Chi hadn't found Joe as a mentor, because he was in LA as a youngster, he went in the FBI and everything. But if I hadn't found somebody else, this is the path I could have taken. I could have been Sonny easily.
There is an error in this episode. You're going to kick yourself for not thinking about it because I almost missed it. How does one call the German woman? You walk me through those steps.
So they call the bar.
Cliff's sidebar.
Cliff said delivery for McGinty. And then he says Tuesday, not Wednesday or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the guy says, we'll call you back. And then they call back later.
Okay, wait. You just caught it. And Sonny does the dramatic wait for them to hang up. And then he hovers the phone over and hangs up. How do they know what number to call back?
Maybe McGinty is a code word just for him. It's just for Sonny.
It would have to be just for Leroy because they're in Leroy's apartment. But it's not. It's in Sonny's. See, they didn't leave a number to call back. They took for granted that there's no caller ID.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
How did Joe know that the antifreeze was from the getaway green van? The first episode when they were getting away and he's like, he went that way after he checked out the thing. He's like, the green.
Listen, he's a natural born tracker. Why?
He didn't. How did he know which car it was? Because he didn't know either. Anyway, last season when they said something about drinking their Kool-Aid, and I was like, that wasn't a saying until like until the Jim Jones, and that was like what in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 70s, 77, 78, something like that.
That was Jim Jones, right?
Yeah, it was Jim Jones.
Oh, well, in 1978. But yeah, it does reference specifically Jonestown. And although the drink was actually Flavor Aid, Bridget's obsession.
This is what happens when you have younger folks writing the episodes. That's just a saying they've heard their whole lives. They don't think about the fact that that didn't originate until 7 years after this episode, the time that we're in.
We have to consider one thing, though. For all the little things that they may have gotten wrong, because I didn't even think of that. They get so much right. Like you said about the apartments and the lava lamps.
I'm not trying to pick it apart. It's just pointing out things that happen. It doesn't detract from the show. Most people wouldn't even notice things like that. Like,
but hey, listen, we have to say it out loud. It's like for every one thing we may catch, it's like they get so many things so right, too. Like the Hogan thing. Okay, they don't do it anymore, but it was accurate for the time. The obsession with ghost sickness, definitely part of the period. I don't know how much ghost sickness plays in the lives of many people when it comes to somebody passing anymore, but they nailed it. It's like you said, like sometimes you forget that. Do you remember what I was saying in like last season at the beginning of it? How immersed I was in the fact that I'm in the 70s. There's so many little things that tether you to the period too, like simpler times, to the point that I'm like remembering maps. You need maps to drive around and stuff like that. Little things you don't appreciate.
Dennis was watching it over my shoulder today. He was naming all the cars and he was like, all those cars are time correct.
It's amazing.
Their set decorators are choice and they do a wonderful job.
I'm actually curious about that scene that was out in that parking lot, the green van and all that stuff, like, and just thinking to myself, that could have just been a set.
Let me tell you the trope that I hate. And that is the cop going, I'm not going to listen and do what I'm supposed to do or what's best. I'm going to go get her right now.
Right.
The cop that won't listen.
Shaw,
and
right?
just, It happens all the time in TV shows. What Die Hard, what's the thing? Like, the cops will not listen to what they're trying to tell them. Like, oh, what are you talking about? He doesn't know anything. Maybe he's one of the terrorists feeding you information. You ever think about that? Maybe that's real.
He
I don't
might be
know.
in
But I'm
on
just
it.
saying, in a movie, it just feels so fake. I want to go get this guy because of Upchurch. But you didn't even bother to really investigate until Joe showed up.
See, maybe that's why, though. Maybe that's why he wants the gun so hard for her. Especially considering, okay, so glad you said that. Joe sees the photos. Let's deal with the ones that we do find later, which is he opens up a whole pack of them and he says, yeah, this is just a random development. Smells them. He says, oh, these have been recently developed.
Mhm.
From that, you see later with Byrne and Joe, he gets a file from Shaw of what this relates to. And it turns out that the pictures of the development link to Leroy's grandmother's place. Okay, now that we're here, okay, that's great because now they know where to go to find Billy and Leroy, possibly, and obviously Billy's mother.
Leroy is on the res.
Leroy is not Philip Grace. Maybe he is. Skipping that for a moment because we have nothing. See, it's like the Waiting for Godot. It's like Leroy doesn't exist. He's never going to be a witness because he's code for a bigger project. There's another photo. He goes, this is Upchurch's place. So now they can directly link. This is legit. It's not a ration key. They have like hard evidence that she's been surveilling his place. So that's good because now we have actual evidence, which makes it so that they can track any of the other people that she tried to kill, like Albert Gorman, who definitely was involved. Sonny Bearhart now is dead. And now there's a direct link from Sonny Bearhart to McNair's operation. The evidence is mounting up, and all we need to do is get this woman to like seal the deal. And maybe they have enough already. I don't know if they can link this van directly with McNair somehow. I almost forgot about this. So yes, to your question, that's why he wants to get him, because he ignored that information. He wants to get justice for Upchurch. Then I thought the direct comparison to this was Joe said to Sonny/Shaw, of course, she's going to not only jump on this Joe Leaporn, like when Sonny tells McGinty or the German woman that it's Joe Leaporn, Joseph Leaporn, she's going to make mistakes. She's going to go straight for it. In similar fashion, Shaw goes after Irene. Shaw had to heed the warnings. Why am I bringing this up? Because the last episode I said, it's possible that Shaw may have been with Upchurch. And maybe that's why he's not thinking rationally about this. And maybe that's why he missed the green van, dismissed it completely. It's nothing. Just want to put that out there. You have your Philip Grace and I have my Agent Shaw, okay? Just saying. We do get a reprise of, you know, Joe's making different choices these days. He's going to sweat, retiring. Byrne goes, And
then Emma had the exact same reaction, like, yeah, I'm happy for him.
I'm happy for him. Awkward. And then she goes, wait, to your point about was the phone call in the diner? I'm late for my next rounds. Go sit with Shíká. I don't want to see, I don't want to see you anymore. I just want to avoid this conversation completely now. He's going to want to see you, but not me.
She must feel fairly invaded. She's like, I'm out here living my life, doing my own thing, building my own world back up. And here, all three of them have come piling in.
Ganging up on me.
I've already had to patch Joe up. She almost died from an infection. Bernie's in here elbowing me in the ribs about Joe. Go away, people. Leave me alone. Let me have my life back. And now some crazy German lady is threatening to kill her in the car garage. So I'm sure she's like, get out of here. Leave me alone.
Joe, I just need space. Again? Another year? Or listen, it could go the other way. It's like, no matter how much space I have, I'm not going to be able to escape you.
But I mean, again, none of that is Joe's fault, other than him going to the Indian health clinic instead of going to a different hospital. He didn't tell Bernie to go in and nudge Emma in the ribs, but Emma doesn't know that either.
True.
She's just on the receiving end. All these people bugging me. I just want to take care of these people and live in my little apartment and use my stir sticks and do my thing. And all these people are in here harshing my mellow.
Yeah,
that's a 70s thing, right?
I guess so. I guess I would say there's an additional side note to this, which is when Byrne brings up the fact that, crazy about Sonny, right? Joe was really frustrated with himself about that. I mean, he gave Sonny his word. Now, mind you, I know what you're going to say is that's not his fault either because of Shaw. And yes, you're right.
Also, Sonny's like, we got to get out of here. And then he just stands there. Duck, dog. You can do something. He'll just stand out in the open.
Imagine if they jumped into the van, and who knows if it's rigged for anything. But let's say they go into the van. She could just shoot the van. They're not bulletproof.
Drop behind a car for cover, but he just like was standing out there. I'm sad he got killed. I liked Sonny as a
Sonny had
character.
faith in Joe, and that's why Joe's upset. Joe's upset because
another man is dead because of you.
Oh, what a punch in the guts. He comes back with that baggage to burn. He's like, yeah, I'm sure it should never have happened. But also counterpoint to Shaw having been the one really to get him killed. Joe could have done that differently in a perfect world. He could have said, no, I'm not going. But then they'd lose the opportunity to maybe get Irene. It's a tough call.
But I don't know, maybe it's, I'm going to find you. Like, he's over confident or whatever, but like, he of all people should have known that she was ahead of him.
And then they picked an open place.
They're all just standing out in the open. Emma is taking up some of his brain space or something, so he's missing things that should be obvious to him. Or again, he doesn't watch a whole lot of serial killer.
You know what? I think you answered your own question in a way, because on the one hand, we were upset with him for underestimating her obsession. And on the other hand, we are charging him for in this instance, you're overestimating her obsession. Because what he said was like, oh, she's not going to want to mess this up. Judging because of the toothbrush, obviously.
Right. Although, I mean, Joe did, he's like, no, stop, don't. We need to do this the right way. So I don't really blame Joe for that so much, except that this isn't even Joe. Everybody is just standing out in the open. It wasn't just Joe and it wasn't just Sonny.
Well, they were on the other roof, but how are they to know which roof she was going to shoot? Or she says the alley. How would they know she was going to be? I don't know. You could never tell, but Joe's instincts were right. Bottom line.
Right. This was definitely on Shaw because he just took off doing his stupid, I'm going to run in and do this instead of listening and taking my time and making sure it's done right.
Listen, but after finding that wet toothbrush, I think too, see, like, again, overestimation, underestimation. I feel like if I were Joe, I'd be like, oh, I've underestimated how obsessed she is with me. Maybe that obsession will carry us through the day. See, even Joe is taking a chance on Shaw. And see, it's like the Sonny's depending on Joe. Joe is depending on Shaw. Shaw let him down. Shaw let Sonny down. A plus B equals C. Unfortunately, we lost a soldier in this battle. His name was Sonny Bearheart. Why am I talking like this?
Survived Vietnam and came home and got shot by a crazy German woman.
Shot by the granddaughter of a Nazi. I'm assuming, since it looked like an SS uniform.
Oh, he was one of the good killers on the good side, I guess. I'm just playing devil's advocate. There's a Nazi, I guess. Oh, he was the good guy.
Right, he was the one who hid in, Frank. I'm glad we're here, because as they're wandering around the parking lot, I think they hear the van before they see it, because then you hear the radio, her typical doomsday radio playing. It's somebody sermoning about the rapture. Will you be prepared to outlast the cockroaches? Things you can hear. Right when she starts shooting her, right when he sees her, the reflection of the sun on her scope, the radio goes, the question is this: will you get down on your knees and admit defeat? And then Joe sees the scope and then he goes down to his knees.
Remember when she was driving into the bunker and was like episode 2 or 3?
Right.
And it was Captain
shelters.
Midnight.
Yeah.
And he was talking about fallout shelters or whatever. Maybe that's the same thing, because he would be like, are you just going to get down on your knees and defeat, or are you going to, hide in your bunker, whatever. Anyway, I didn't hear all of it, but that would be my thought.
But what an interesting turn of phrase. Will you outlast the cockroaches? Meaning, are you ready and willing to stay in a shelter for as long as it takes to outlast? And of course, we talk about Germans, we talk about Nazis, and then he brings up cockroaches. What do these Malthusian groups all have in common? It's like the whole evolution of we are the evolved and we are the ones who should survive. We're the ones who live. Right? It's this whole, we're the faithful. We're not the ones who should die from population crisis. We should be the ones to be saved. Connective tissue to religion and stuff like that. Just like this kind of runoff from the supremacy sort of situation. We're going to mix religion with supremacy. Not like the Nazis didn't. They were Christians too. It's like cycles. Things are repeating again. The granddaughter's repeating the grandfather's mistakes, etc. Almost killing Jeremy Kaplan in a sales demonstration. Assisted living.
Isn't that humanity repeating the mistakes of people before you? Dennis screams all the time, if they would just kill this person, then everybody would stop doing that. I'm like, that's not how it works, because they execute murderers all the time and murderers still exist. So that's a false equivalency there.
But if you don't, maybe there'll be more murders. Who knows? You know what, though? Why I had my hands on my mouth when you said that? Do you remember the conversation about the Door song that we had and how that links to feeling like you can't escape your caste or your class or your fate, and that existentialism? This is the part I was born to play, and there's no escaping that part. And so isn't that kind of what Sonny sort of says? Maybe this is my way of escaping that part. Isn't criminality a way of
Maybe that's
escaping?
what Irene feels like. This is the part she was born to play, and she doesn't really want to do that.
Well, first of all, I don't feel like she likes
I
being
don't think she
trapped.
takes a lot of joy in killing. She's not like, ew, I get to go kill this person. It's a job. She may like to mess with them, because I remember now she was waving her
with the
fingers.
gas mask. Well, and maybe that's just her taking pleasure out of the temporary escape of her class, of her fate, of her being the caregiver, and the men not being caregivers.
You gotta find joy in your job somehow.
Right. Or why bother otherwise? I vacillate on whether her obsession with Joe is just a fantasy that will never happen. Since she's a killer, maybe she's making it manifest. And maybe, like you said, how does she expect this to go down? If I kill Emma, he's sworn off me forever. Because he's still obviously still in love with her.
I feel like she wants to kidnap him and take him down in the bunker and force him into loving her. There's like some Stockholm syndrome stuff going on. Like when she said she was going to bring the lieutenant back for dinner.
Right.
100% her plan was to somehow get Joe and take him back to the bunker.
I have to wonder if she's not been planning something to get him to come down. There must be something in the works that we're not seeing that she's already done.
That's why she wants to get Grandpa out of the house so she can bring Joe in instead. Joe can be her grandpa proxy.
Wow.
In the sense of having a manly killer in the house.
Okay. I was even just thinking, maybe her going after Billy. Oh, this is interesting. If Irene finds Billy first and doesn't kill her and gives her to Joe, which I feel the naivete dripping from my lips when I say this, I think she's going to figure, hey, I did this for you. I didn't have to kill this girl. I don't want to kill this girl. I want to give her to you. If she gets to Billy first, Joe takes Billy. What happens then? Obviously, she has killed Albert Gorman and Elder Ashley Begay. Will Joe let this go for the sake of Billy and for the sake of... I just don't know how this is going to go down. I don't know what she expects, but I feel like the lure has got to be Billy or something in that vicinity of something Joe definitely wants, because it has to be enough for him to want to go down to the shelter to have dinner with Opa.
I feel like he's going to eventually put himself out as bait.
Oh, you think he's going to go further? The nothing to lose thing? I don't know. I feel like this is changing him. Maybe. No, don't you think that he's not feeling, or maybe he owes it to Sonny?
Or maybe he feels like in order to keep Emma safe, he's got to do something. So,
see, I can see a world in which Emma says, I don't want you to do that. So you're not listening to me again. Don't put yourself in harm's way. You have somebody to live for. I know Joe Jr. is gone, but I'm still here. It's tough.
But she's not.
But maybe if she hears that, that will be the thing to get her to step out.
I'm not even saying he's doing it consciously. It's subconscious work in that way.
Hey, Sharon, let's sign off so we can find out what happened.
I'm ready to go, man. I'm like, let's go watch the next episode.
Okay. Like I said, there is another bookend. The bookend was he's wearing the shirt that she was sniffing, sort of wearing at the beginning of the episode, and he's wearing it at the end. The other bookend is, we kind of said it already, but we didn't kind of state it. We didn't link it. In the beginning of the episode, he's going through his own stuff to see if anything's been tampered with. And by the end of the episode, he's going through her stuff, the photos, finds the arsenal. He moves the bookshelf aside. Man, the feds are so dumb. They didn't find that.
She's ready for war. That's what I told you.
Exactly. That's what I told
I tried to tell you.
I mean, he says this as they're panning down to the grenades, because you wouldn't think. She's a trained assassin. Now they're thinking, why does she need grenades? It's not really an assassin-y thing. Now I'm wondering, given the Doomsday Cult stuff, given the Fallout Shelter stuff, end of the world Malthusian sentiments, what is her thing? It was one thing if she was just a trained killer, and now you're thinking, okay, she's prepared for something bigger. And maybe, like you said, maybe she is just like her Opa. Maybe she isn't comfortable 100% with this world, this America post World War II.
She's not trying to hide her killings in any way. So say she's after somebody and she can't get to him and she just throws a grenade at him and gets him. Like, I can see why she'd have them, because she's not trying to be secretive about it. Making Upchurch look like a suicide was one thing, but she didn't try to make Albert look like a suicide or anything. Like, she just blasted people. There was no finesse or anything to that. Making Upchurch look like a suicide was to throw the cops off more than anything.
Right. Like we said.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages.
We just thought we'd remind you to show this episode some love by tapping that like button, if there's one to be tapped, subscribing to our podcast or channel, and if available, enabling all notifications, and sharing the show, or clips of it, with everyone you know. And don't be afraid to reach out. Leave your questions, feedback, ideas, or even concerns in the comments section. There isn't one? Head on over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead and leave your thoughts there.
Rating our podcast is the best way to get our attention because it also boosts our visibility. And we'll probably address it in the next episode too. And if you think there's something to what we're doing here at Squawking Dead, tip us over on Ko-fi. As a token of our appreciation, you'll receive forever access to our Discord, along with 30 days access to our uncut episode and interview recordings, plus our pre-squawk insights. Take your support further. Join a membership tier on either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, and you'll unlock access to more channels on our Discord server, receive shoutouts at the end of every episode, and depending on what tier you join, the ability to join us on camera and mic to break down future episodes alongside us. Thank you for hearing us out and making it this far into the episode.
We now return you to our regularly scheduled podcast.
I don't know where else to go from here. Like you said, there's a lot of resolution, and even Emma comes into the picture.
This was more action than depth in this episode, which is cool. Sometimes you need those kinds of episodes.
Yeah. There's a little extra piece to this whole thing when Chi gets more than just diagnosed by Emma. There's clearly connective tissue between Chi and Joe with respect to the price of the badge versus the price of your soul. She even says it in black and white, the things that we've been saying in our heads about Joe the whole time. If you go out like this with this hanging over you, this trauma response plus this ghost sickness, let's say, I'm interested in thinking whether Chi's going to confront that spirit. Who is the spirit? But Albert Gorman, we'll get to see him again, maybe in some form or fashion. He's going to interact with him.
Maybe the spirit is his mom and he didn't knock a hole in the north wall of her home after he found her dying and dead. And so that is the Chiidi that's with him. He can't confront his mother, obviously, but he has to confront
The spirit.
dealing with the death of his mother. And whatever it is that made it so traumatic, I don't mean to say that losing your mother's not traumatic and all that, but the way the old lady made it sound like something really tragic, some crazy happened. So I don't know if he has to deal with that or if it's just basic dealing with the death of your mom and you couldn't save her. He said, I wanted to take you home.
That's what it was. Yep. I wanted to take you home.
Could be relocating her body to the reservation.
Right.
Maybe
Never
that
got a
will take
chance.
care of it. Right.
You know, I wonder what would have prevented him from doing that too. Or maybe he wanted to take her before she passed. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Right.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I feel like he was in the academy. It probably would have been too poor to have her taken and buried on the res or whatever.
It would have taken time away from his... You know what, though? It's like the whole thing. Of course, he's young. You don't get that time back. You can't buy it when it's gone. Once it's over, it's over. And I can feel his loss. Honestly, I would be lying if I didn't say I hadn't thought about like losses of my own. You keep thinking that there's time and then you lose it and it's sudden. And you relive it over and over again thinking, oh, is there a way? Is there a way? There's no way. I feel so much for him. And I can see easily why. And Emma points a finger on it. If you don't deal with this, clearly, as we're seeing as omniscient viewers, if you don't deal with this, you could get somebody hurt. And me as the viewer, I don't want this to be one of those things where we do see someone get hurt because of Chi.
He almost had some innocent person hit him in the road. Yeah, it would have damaged him. That poor person that was just driving, and there's some crazy dude in a hospital gown sitting in the middle of the road. So.
And think of how racist it would be, like some crazy Indian. See, even if it was one of our people, it was one thing if it was just him that was being affected. Maybe that's what he was thinking this whole time. If it's just affecting me, why does it matter? But it's not just about you now. You're going to get somebody hurt. She's right. You got to be like Joe. You got to connect to your spirituality.
Well, no, because Joe's doing the same thing. He's letting himself be distracted
and also putting his life on the line.
Yeah.
Again,
so
should take some of that advice,
he's
Joe.
distracted and it almost hurts somebody else.
It's almost as though Burns should be the one to take down Irene.
I'm
right?
good with it.
Thereby proving Joe right. Joe can be right. You know, broken clock can be right twice a day. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Joe's pretty smart. Clearly good instincts.
I have the feeling like Joe is not going to retire because there's like a season 5 coming. He's going to find himself again or something. Crap. I need to go back to the reservation. I need to go back and finish up on the res or something. I don't know.
Maybe he works under her. I can see that.
Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
You know what? Actually, that's not a bad idea. Him being a private dick sort of situation, being a consultant, let's say, for the Cayenta police, or maybe even a consultant for Gordo, working on the tough cases.
I hope Gordo and his wife show up in these last 2 episodes.
I hope so too. Let's watch the next few episodes so we can find out what happens.
Bye, everybody. We're Squawking Dead. See you later.
Yeah.
Peace
next
out.
episode is the penultimate, and the one after that is the season finale. So with that, I say we're going to race to watch that episode. And we hope that you've enjoyed this conversation. I know it's a short one than usual, but I can't wait to talk about the next one. With that, I say, everybody, see you in the next one. Now we're enjoying rapidly discussing these episodes and getting very close to the end, and hope you've been enjoying these episodes. And hopefully you've been enjoying that these episodes come out relatively sooner rather than later. So I appreciate you appreciating these episodes, and let us know how we did in the comments, like this call to action said earlier. Take care, everybody. We'll see you very soon. Bye. Funky times. Thank you for making it to the end of yet another episode of Squawking Dead. This one, Darkwind's 6th episode of its 4th season, titled Shíká, Nidanitáhá, which means those who were searching for me. I really did study hard to learn that one in particular, and I'm really trying to drill in further into pronouncing Dene a lot more accurately. And this new pronunciation guide that I found, navajo.unm.edu/Dene sound, which is DINESOUND/HTML/ has been really helpful. The audio that they give you gives you a little bit of context. It gives you a word with that vowel or consonant in it. So it's been really helpful. And I feel that much more authentic, if that makes any sense, because I want to be. I want to know that I'm getting things right and that the concepts that we're talking about are more accurate. And it's not like we're trying to teach you how to do things, but at least the meaning behind them, or strafing across the meaning behind them without going too deep. But now that you know that you're at the end of the podcast, it's time to shout out the folks who support us. These are folks who have joined a membership on either Ko-fi or Patreon. We have 3 membership tiers: the Survivors and Whispers. The top 2 tiers get audible and visual shoutouts at the end of every episode. Walkers, our entry-level tier, get at least visual shoutouts scrolling past us at the end. Because we don't have any Survivors members as our junior producer tier, we're going to move on to our Whisperers, one of which is Jason, who you can reach on Instagram via @neos1, which is @NEOS1 HEONE. Rob Lucchese on TikTok via @RobsStuff_N as in Nancy _thangs THANGS. And of course, Kim Rowley, you can reach on Facebook via @Kim.Rowley1. I am really psyched to watch the finale episode, because we already recorded our thoughts on the penultimate episode of the 4th season. That would be the 7th. And we do this obviously to make sure that our ducks are in the row and these episodes come out sooner rather than later. It also means that we can prep for the Season of Evil, which is having to cover From and The Boys at the same time, starting on the 8th of April. It also means that I can have time to do my taxes, because for some reason, I'm always Johnny come lately on that. And of course, since this podcast is a negative draw, I won't have to pay anything for this podcast. Everything that we get from you guys is used. Absolutely. So, hey, consider joining a membership. It really helps us out. You get recognition, and depending on the tier you join, you may be able to join us in these episode breakdowns. So give them a look-see on either Ko-fi or Patreon. And with that, I say, no matter what you do, no matter how you support us, and you're here, so hey, congratulations to you. It means a lot. We know that you have so many options to choose from when it comes to entertainment and breakdowns and all that lovely stuff, but that you came here is really appreciated. So just remember that you, me, and everybody are Squawking Dead.